Hi, I'm Don Lombardi. Welcome to this very unique Lombardi Live. Our guest is a very good drummer, but he's not here today to talk to you about his drumming. He has another passion and is well known in his world, which has a whole lot to do with your world as a drummer. You'll realize that more and more as time goes by, you're going to need his knowledge. You can take it from me. If you were to equate his resume to a drummer's, he would be at the top of the very best. His name is Michael Lear, and he is internationally recognized as a practitioner and yoga instructor, with clients spanning 5 continents. He is at the forefront of mind-body medicine, yoga, and meditation. Remember, when you're playing drums, staying healthy is the most important thing. Everything has to be working. Michael can help you avoid injury to get the most out of your playing and your life. Yoga4Drummers is the name of the course, and Michael Lear, thank you for joining us today.
Don, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Where are you in the world?
So I'm in Easton, Pennsylvania, which is a small town, maybe 70 miles west of Manhattan, 60 miles north of Philadelphia. This is my home. This is my loft space, but it also doubles as my drum studio. My drums are in the corner. My yoga mat's there, and I have a bodywork table off here to the left. So my whole world goes down in this space unless I'm on the road doing work.
I know you travel a lot. I gave a general description of what you do in your life and your passion, but give us a little bit more detailed information.
Okay. Well, I started out on this journey, interestingly enough. This wasn't my passion at the time. I actually had studied finance and international management in school, but it was shortly after graduating that I wound up diagnosed with hypertension and impressively high blood pressure. It was, I think, 162 over 105 at age 22. Cholesterol was 248. I weighed about 181 pounds, and I had chronic low back pain. So my body was basically saying no to the patterns in my life. And I also found out earlier on in life, after some surgery, that I was allergic to pain medications and a couple other medications. So I had to take a natural route. And it was really because of those early challenges that I discovered neuromuscular therapy, yoga, and eventually biofeedback, and then meditation. And it changed the course of my life.
Tell us a little bit about what you have on Drum Channel.
Okay, beautiful. So what's on Drum Channel is it's a short, I believe it's about just under a 2-hour course on how the body operates, what to expect when you're, working with your back, your shoulders, things of this nature, so that you can practice without injury. And then we put the two together, and there's a series of breath practice with the movement that will actually start to build the foundation of the yoga practice. Because it's really this quality of breath that we want to cultivate while we're moving that creates the healing energy and the restorative qualities of the yoga practice that differentiate it from mere exercise, which is also good. But yoga does a little bit, it's a little more transformative.
And I can tell the drummers out there, one of the most important things that I've heard from the greatest drummers in the world, whose career has ended them up in the studio, is it's so important to be relaxed. The last thing they want to see when you're walking into a studio circumstance is somebody that's nervous or afraid, or they're looking for confidence. And even if you don't have that much confidence, you can promote the fact that you are confident if you're breathing and you feel comfortable in your own skin.
Another thing that's important too is that we want to feel really good in our body physically. Playing with an injury is such a distraction, or playing with low energy because we made a poor choice the night before, or we hadn't been taking care of ourselves, and then this opportunity comes and we want to step into it and have full artistic expression. And oftentimes, if we're not feeling really good in our skin, then that can compromise what the potential of that opportunity might yield for us. As a neuromuscular therapist, because the other half of what I do is I work on necks, low back, shoulders, a number of things, and it's really, movement's a way to agelessness, and there's a way to approach movement that can really ensure longevity. So I'm constantly recommending to people of all walks, I mean, if you have a body, it's best to take care of it. And in particular, drummers express in many different ways, and there's unique qualities. Some people like high cymbals or, lower toms. Some people like to play with their head down, and all of that's our uniqueness, right? That's how the emotion comes out. And the beauty of having a practice that allows you to keep the muscle memory, but kind of wipe the slate clean of the imbalances that can occur from that is priceless, right? It allows you to continue doing what you do when you perform, but then you can clear that from the system and live very balanced in the rest of life, and things don't accumulate to a threshold point where it turns into pain or injury.
Could we get into the weeds a little bit here and maybe give us a little example of a breathing exercise that we could work on during the show here?
Sure. So in the course, I go through 2 different styles. I'm going to teach a third now, but there's a pendulum swing breath, which is an equal inhale, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3. There's a ratio breathing, which is what a lot of the movement practices are based on. But in particular for today, I thought, one that's become popular for a lot of people for anxiety management is something called box breathing. So it's pretty simple. I like to work with the metronome. We won't use that today, but in order to get the pulse of a particular count, and also from a timing standpoint, metronomes on phones are perfect for establishing a breath practice and having something to follow. But let's play around with, we'll do a 4-second inhale, a 4-second hold, a 4-second exhale, and a 4-second hold. So a breath round will be about 16 seconds, okay? So I'll count and feel free to breathe along, okay? Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. But what happens when you practice something even this simple offline, a couple times a day when you don't need it, then when something happens, you just automatically say, wait, and you lock into breath, and it really keeps you in charge. It keeps you focused. The amygdala, which is the reactive brain or the fight, flight, or freeze brain, is deactivated and de-escalated, and you're really present.
We talked earlier about Louie Bellson and Buddy Rich and their breathing. Definitely I see when Buddy plays his solo and does his single stroke rolls, which is so famous, you see him as he gets faster and faster during that single stroke roll, breathe almost at exactly the same place. So you know that he's breathing because he has to be relaxed. Louie Bellson, in talking about breathing, said he literally uses yoga. He was a yoga practitioner, and he would think of a center of gravity, so he would breathe and have to be relaxed. Several of the best teachers we've had on Drum Channel also say, don't forget to breathe, because if you're not breathing, you're going to tighten up and it's not going to feel exactly the same. So it's all so beautifully tied in, I think, to making you feel like the way you want to express yourself when you're playing.
Absolutely. I mean, what I find is that, just even for myself, even though I've been practicing these things, when I get caught up in the moment and I speed up and there's that intensity and things get tight, and then I have to, I catch myself. It's like, wow, just breathe, let go, and relax. And then you can get back to the bounce of the stick and feeling that connection, as opposed to, over-efforting, which gets in the way of things and obviously can set up injury. So what I love about the yoga practice is that all of the movements are really built around a quality of breath, that's full, it's easy, there's nothing forced about it. When you find that the breath changes or gets erratic, then you change what you're up to until the breath smooths out, and you build your physical capacity around that really stable breath. And I think that's much like drumming as well, that if you use the breath and what you're up to as another focal point, that you can practice, like, how can I speed up this roll, but keep my breath in the same quality. And it just might be another tool for drummers to leverage to improve what they're up to, and also have it for demanding situations or challenges.
So the new Yoga4Drummers course is on Drum Channel. It's a new course that we have. It's in part 1 and part 2. And it's kind of the beginning, almost intermediate. It gets you prepared, but it'll be, if you do nothing but that, you're going to be way ahead of the game. And then if you were to go into the store and look at your complete course, how detailed is that? And how many weeks would it take somebody to work through that? I know it's a lifetime's work. You're never done. But tell me what you have, what the complete course embodies.
Okay, so it's basically a distillation of everything I've taught I've been teaching for about 20 years, but doing yoga for 29. I'm in my 29th year of the practice. And the fundamentals are the fundamentals, right? If you get those right, where they land on their trajectory further out are extraordinary. So it really covers a lot of that, some of the best of my teachings over the decades. So we have the mind component, we have deeper dives on the breath component, and even more on there's some other aspects of creating an internal energy that adds the therapeutic benefit to the practice, the restorative quality of the practice. So a little deeper dive there. We go a little further into the anatomical considerations of, how to have a body when you practice, what it does, what it doesn't do. And then in all of the modules, there's a deconstruction of every one of the postures. Oftentimes we drop into a yoga class and they just lead you through, but they don't explain why you're doing it or what the benefit is or even how to do it. You're just kind of caught up in the flow of things. And oftentimes we're so extroverted that we tweak, a meniscus, we get a small meniscus tear or, these types of things, or we strain the low back. So there's the mind module, but in the body module, we cover all the anatomical considerations and then the how to do every posture. Not only the traditional yoga postures, but there's a whole section on drummer-specific postures. So how to, if you're behind the kit for a long time, how to work with hip flexors, the hip rotators, how to take care of posture and shoulders. Plenty of stuff on the hands as well in the quick hit section. Working with the yoga wheel. So those are a little deeper dive components after you're a little more familiar with the practice. There's also a series so that after you get the background, then you can start to practice. So in the groove section, there's a short breath and movement practice, the sun salutations, and then there's phase 2, which adds a standing sequence, phase 3 that adds a seated sequence, phase 4 that has the drummer specific sequence in it, and then phase 5, which has the finishing sequences, which quiet down the nervous system. Now you have a full, very drummer specific yoga practice. And if that's not enough, then I have a 21-day challenge where I get into targeted mobility exercises and some proprioceptive neuromuscular stretching, which address the entire drummer's body. So it's a 20-minute program over 3 weeks. So you're going to have 5+ hours of content there, where we're looking at hips, hip flexors, again, posture, thoracic spine, shoulders. We get into wrists. There's a breath component to it. So there's lots of ways to come at this. Oftentimes we might get bored with one thing and we want to move on to another. But the program's designed to guide you into building a practice that's ideal for you. And if you want to take it deeper, there's stuff to do that as well. There's about 10 hours of really cool stuff. And it's stuff that I still do. I do it, every day.
We'll be right back, and we're going to get into some stretching, I believe. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey, Chad Smith here. I'm at the Drum Channel. Huh!
Hi, I'm Don Lombardi. About 40 years ago, I started DW drums in my garage. During that whole period of time, I was lucky to get to know many of the greatest drummers and teachers of all time. Drum Channel is a unique opportunity for you to invest in your future, and we have made sure that it's worth it. All right, so if I was able to get into some just simple stretching exercises, it might be part of my warm-up routine.
Oh, absolutely. Well, a couple things. I'm going to slide back a little bit and demonstrate that. Let me do that. That should work. Perfect. So we have a lumbar curve, and the lower portion of the spine is basically called a lordotic curve. So you want it to be doing this as opposed to this. When we lean back and have this like posterior pelvic tilt, and then have weight forward, you can actually increase the pressure on the I believe it's the third lumbar vertebra or intervertebral disc. You can almost double that or almost triple it, especially if you have your head forward and arms flailing about. So core stability and getting this, getting the curve back in the low back is essential. Okay, and the Yoga4Drummers program really develops a lot of core stability and awareness. So having I would say at least 90 degrees, maybe a little bit above, can definitely help with that. But one of the things that can also, and this is kind of the power of the yoga practice, is that if I spend 3 hours doing this, it's not so bad if I'm undoing it and taking this tendency out of the body. So if I start to stretch and lengthen and reset the length of my hip flexors, and I run through this in the program, I show the psoas muscle, which runs along the low back and through the pelvis and attaches to the leg, that when we sit, it gets shorter, and when we stand, it can mess with what the low back is up to. So again, if you play, I have a really good friend of mine, he's an amazing drummer, but when I record in his studio, his throne is a lot lower for me than I'm comfortable with. So I have to really manage my body mechanics behind the kit. I would say that, if you want to incrementally start to raise the seat up a little bit without derailing your access to your skills, and just start to change it a little bit, or maybe make a radical shift, practice a half hour that way, then go back to what's normal. But you're basically going to have to kind of shift what you're up to. But I would say do it incrementally and over time. And in particular, it might be something good if you don't have a problem now to look to investigate anyway. Because when you start to drop into this rounded posture, even the neck becomes a problem. There's things called text neck this is the same curve as the low back. So when we round it and look forward, we basically, I've looked at x-rays where the neck is straight, and it's not meant to be, but it's just through habituated, looking forward and looking down onto the phone, and it's showing up in people that are younger than you would want to see having that kind of a condition. So I would say, working on core stability and having your seat up a little higher would definitely help. Okay, and then certainly in the program, a lot of the drummer specific postures are really about lengthening the front of the body, because we spend so much time sitting. So it's a matter of practice, enjoy what you do, but then undo it and be aware of what's happening at the kit and how that's affecting your body, and you'll just naturally start to migrate towards something that creates more balance and more comfort in everything that you do.
Yeah, if I'm hearing you, you really don't have to think about practicing this while you're behind the kit. If you do it ahead of time, like practicing on a practice pad or learning how your body works to get the sticks to follow and motivate and follow them, it's just something that becomes part of your natural psyche when you sit down behind the drums, because it's going to be the most natural way you should do it. It's going to feel the best anyway.
Yeah, I think so. The yoga program is kind of like brushing your teeth. We brush our teeth after a meal, not because our teeth are going to fall out after that meal, but we just want our teeth 20, 30, 40 years down the line, and we know that that's how to take care of them. And it's the same thing here, that you sit down, you get all that muscle memory, when you're in position, but then when you're done, you want to go back and just kind of clean the slate a little bit, and you can have the best of both worlds, for sure.
You're a wealth of information.
But I find too that, I'll just add one more thing, that, oftentimes when we first start to play drums, and there's a lot of younger people playing drums on larger kits, and they just get used to a particular arrangement, or maybe they didn't have somebody that knew about drums beforehand, and they just set drums up that kind of looks like a picture that they knew, right? And then they just start playing, and then that becomes them behind the kit. So I think it's really just a matter of taking some inventory at some point in your drumming journey to say, hey, is this working for me? Is this optimal for me? And then making changes that seem to provide more comfort over time.
Any particular things that you would see in a guy's drum set to go, whoa, I don't think he should be doing that?
I watch people. That's kind of the work that I'm in. So I look at how people move. I look at imbalances and, the fluidity in shoulders, things of this nature. And posture is such a big thing. So for anybody out there, I'd have them take some inventory on their posture in general, right? That, if they've done studies where just, power postures, just standing with your hands on your hips for 5 minutes up straight will lower cortisol levels significantly, 25-30%, increase testosterone levels. So we can really shift brain chemistry just the way we stand. So we have kind of an emotional anatomy that can dictate the type of physiology that we produce, right? It's really hard for me to say, wow, I'm having a great day, or wow, I feel really upset, So we reflect this. And so I would say that throughout your day, you can start to take an inventory of, how am I standing in my body, and start to make postural corrections throughout the day that will translate into more awareness once you're at the kit. So that generally what I see where I'm like, ooh, that's going to hurt. And a couple years out is somebody really forward, head really forward, for long periods of time. So I would just have people be aware of that.
What's the name of your band when you have a chance to get out and play?
It's Ito and the Moonlight Hippies is the name of the band. And I'm actually in a band with people that are much younger than I am. My bass player just got back from Berkeley, actually. And another one's studying guitar in school and music theory. And then I just have an incredible vocalist, poet, songwriter guy who's he's also an incredible drummer, but he's a multi-instrumentalist. And what's beautiful about it is I have the energy of these guys. And have a pretty active playing schedule locally, and we're going to be recording some material for our next album. Well, so we're on all your social media platforms, and so it's really fun music. It's a lot of cross-genre material, so check us out. You're
living proof. Yoga4Drummers. It really works. Michael Lear.
Absolutely. Don, I thank you for your time.
Michael, thank you very much for joining us. And we'll be seeing more of you, because as we go through the experience and people get into the course, they're going to have questions. So we'll do a Q&A session as time goes by also. Show us how it's working back there. Elias, let me see when you can get those hands to meet behind your back. Come on. Thank you for tuning in and following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Drum Channel. I'll see you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time for another episode of Lombardi Live, and I'm going to get working on it. Thank you so much, Michael. Have a great day.
You're welcome, Don. Thank you. You too.